All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. February 5th, 2018 to the Breakdown Daily Recap. I, of course, am Breaky CPK. And once again, we have plenty to talk about. We're coming up on the roster lock here officially. And as a result, we definitely had some last minute moves. Again, we've been having roster moves all throughout this week, really this last couple of weeks, as teams have been really figuring out how they want to set their rosters going through the rest of the season that's officially been announced by Valve. Here on out, this is the roster that you have locked towards going towards TI8. So again, a little bit earlier than maybe people expected, but it's the case. So you had to make some changes if you felt like it, and we definitely got that. We'll talk about those changes in just a minute. First, of course, I wanted to go over some results, as well as previewing an event, some qualifiers that are going to be taking place coming up right here. Let me actually quit out my Skype real quickly. There we go. Make sure things are still good. Okay, yeah, looks like we are still good. Anyways, I am doing this via recording. I'm going to upload it right after I'm done as well. So it turns out that so I'm actually at the hotel, as you may notice or may not. I'm still at the hotel. I'm still in Kiev. I actually leave in about 7 hours from now. So, I stayed up basically a day extra just to make sure I could cast, the rest of the event going into the night, into this morning. Which that's wrapped up, and we'll start with that, in fact, that being the WESG, the North American and South American Finals, to see which teams ultimately moving on and their prize pool and everything there. So we'll start with North America, and it was a little bit of an unfortunate final day, especially for NA, and I say that because we did deal with a forfeit. Now, it was a very interesting spot. So the third place match set to happen first, of course. And again, all four of these teams had already qualified for the LAN event. So at this point, they were playing for prize pool. Still some good money on the line. Still definitely something to be worth playing for. But in the end, they were all, again, qualified for the main event itself, the main event LAN. So part of us, what we were wondering as casters behind the scenes, if there would have been, possibly postponements or even just one of the teams not showing up. Again, a couple of these teams, they got some players on it that the prize pool for this event, for this portion at least, wasn't necessarily the biggest in their minds maybe. So we got that with our first series, the third place match. Team USA versus Play for Fun, which was supposed to take place. Team USA ended up not showing up. That was one that Gareth and I were actually going to be casting from the North American region. So it was disappointing in that sense. For one, I didn't get to do a final cast. I ended up finishing with the South American earlier on in the day, which was fun. But, looking forward to this one. Again, I really can't get into too much details. Frankly, I'm not the admin, so I really don't want to say too much on it. But from the sound of it, it just seems like it's a case of, I don't even know if we should expect a couple of the teams to even go to the LAN event. Now, it turns out that the LAN event, the main event, does actually overlap with the GESC, Indonesia, I believe it is, the minor event. Let me pull that up. Yeah, because that's in mid-March, and from my understanding, it's actually this same week. And this is something that the teams have actually known for a fair amount of time right here. And a couple of the teams, including both Team USA and Team Canada, do have players on Iceberg Esports, which of course was the team that qualified from the North American region. With that in mind, there is pretty much a guaranteed chance that they're not planning to attend the LAN finals. And that's the rumor, at least, as to why Team USA chose not to show up. Because at that point, they just figured, why even play? We've already qualified and we're not going anyways. It's only a $2,500 difference for the prize pool. Again, still some okay money if you ask me, but they didn't show up. So that's kind of the short version of it. So Play for Fun, they got the default win. They got the third place. Now, so we were wondering if it was going to be the same thing going into the finals. It turns out Team Canada did actually show up, and they ended up playing a 3-game series against Team Leviathan. Team Canada won that series 2-1, which got them first place. So again, they technically get their share of the prize pool, which is $20,000 for first. Leviathan goes with $15,000. But again, with the scheduling overlapping with the GESC event and a couple of these teams having players in that event, more than likely, we should not expect to see Team Canada and Team USA at the LAN finals. Really unfortunate, these scheduling conflicts happen. Part of me does wish that if they knew that going in, which I don't know 100% if they did or not, I would rather them not have competed then at that point. But, it's understandable that they did for the prize pool, whatever. So, in the end, it's done. How WESG is going to handle it, I don't know. Will they invite now the next two teams aligned? So will they invite Mexico and Ecuador? Will they get to go? I mean, I think that would be great, an awesome opportunity for them. But it's up to WESG whether or not they actually invite more teams, or if they just say, you know what, we'll just cut our losses and just keep the teams that we have. So yeah, that's kind of how the final day went. Again, a little unfortunate. South America, on the other hand, actually played out pretty well. We saw two matches, of course. The third place match being the very important one. That was Team Peru versus Team Unknown, aka Team Chile. And this was for a main event land spot, actually. So for South America, it was much more important, unlike North America. And it took Peru 3 games, but they did actually defeat Chile in the end, 2-1. But Team Chile, gotta say, all the props to them in the world. They actually came back, won the second game, and even in the third game, it was actually a fairly close game for the most part. But ultimately, Peru, the expected team, advancing on. Again, gotta say, going into this, I was getting hyped from Grant especially, that Peru was gonna, smash these qualifiers and be undefeated. Wasn't the case, and they almost didn't even make the main event, but they did, so we'll see how they now manage there, as long as they go, of course. Pain versus SG Esports was the finals. Pain Gaming's looking really impressive, and that was a series that Gareth and I got a cast, actually, for South America. They won it 2-0, and they were the dominant team. They were the better team, at least on that given day. They also beat SG Esports in the group stages a couple of days before that. So, Pain Gaming out of Brazil, I personally got a lot more respect for them. Again, South America, not a region I watch too much, and I know, people tuning in, perhaps the same deal as well. But, with them qualifying for minors and majors, it's important to at least keep an eye to see how things are going and to see how they're developing. And I gotta say, it's Pain Gaming. If they play like they did against SG Esports, against some of these international teams, they most certainly can get some wins. So they got first place, SG Esports second, and Peru taking home the third place title. Themselves right there. But again, those three moving on. Chile comes up short in the fourth place spot. So that's the WESG. Want to keep things moving along and make sure the recording's good. All right, we're already 7+ minutes in. Okay, we got to keep this moving. All right, so not GESC. We'll talk about that later. Dota 2 Asian Championships. I just quickly thought it'd be worth going over this. The close qualifiers are actually starting this week for this event. I'm actually, as soon as I fly back home, I get in like at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, and I have a cast at 9 p.m. Eastern for the North American region that I'm going to be doing. So it's going to be fun. We'll see. But no, China's actually already underway. There's, 12 teams, it looks like, that are competing. They got group stages. Wow, this is a huge format. Jeez, Dota 2 Asian Championships. I mean, it makes sense. Obviously, they've invited, I want to say, probably 3 or 4 Chinese teams. Originally, yeah, it was Invictus Gaming, Newbie, Vici Gaming. So they got 3 teams from China. And now they're having these huge Chinese qualifiers. So obviously this is big for the Chinese region, especially being the event that it is. It will be a major, of course, so look forward to this. All the other regions do start up going into this next day. So previewing it real quick, we got North America, all the expected teams. I don't think any crazy stuff there. Okay, yeah, I guess it's not really worth going through each one. I mean, it's all the expected teams in all the regions. Again, that starts tomorrow. Into later tonight, whenever you're watching this. So it's just something, just a heads up, basically. Look forward to it when DAC is happening. And this next week's going to be DAC qualifiers. The following week, we got, I think it's like Dream League qualifiers, as well as another event qualifiers. I think another GESC event. So, guys, there's a lot of Dota over these next couple of weeks. Okay, roster update. So, Navi. We knew Navi was going to be adding a 5th player. They made the announcement of an announcement that they were going to be doing it on the 5th year. It's official. LeBron Dota, aka LeBron, joins Navi as their 5th player. So he's stepping in, of course, in place of Seneko, who was announced that was released earlier in the week. And this is also on top of Lil joining the ranks with that trade that happened with Roger, of course, between VP and Navi. But, Navi's in an interesting spot now because I don't know what to expect. Obviously, they're going through a little bit of drama. The whole Lil situation with VP and now how he's a part of Navi. Not to say, Lil's was ultimately the toxic one. I mean, who knows? Maybe he'll fit into this roster just fine and, find a new great home, and maybe it will work out great for both teams. But Navi, once again, in a little bit shaky of a spot. But LeBron, I keep on saying LeBron James. LeBron Dota is a fantastic player. I've gotten the chance to see him a couple of times, actually. Compete throughout different CIS teams. And I actually heard rumor that he was one of the top candidates when Navi was announcing that they were looking for a 5th. So cool to see it official. Got that to look forward to. Another big roster change announcement. LFY, LGD Forever Young, announcing an official new roster right here. So they ended up dropping, I'm going this for reference, they ended up dropping OP and Inflame as two players on the team. So now those guys are teamless for the time being. And then they picked up Yao, Super, as well as Ohio. So Yao's coming over from LGD, Super's coming over from Invictus Gaming, and Ohio, obviously teamless for the time being, he's stepping in. On top of this, it means Afu will actually step to the 5 position himself here. So really, really interesting changes. The reaction from a lot of the community has been uncertain. Afu was arguably one of the more standout position 4 players in, of course, TI7 especially. Now, it's been a little bit since then. LFY has been on up and down. They haven't necessarily really kept that momentum since TI7 by any means. But so it's kind of understandable to see a roster change like this. But yeah, seeing Afu move to the 5 position, don't know how I feel about that. Yao is stepping in as the 4, a player with plenty of experience himself. But whenever you have such a huge playmaker going to a position 5, always a little, uncertainty there whether or not that's going to work. It kind of reminds me of the whole Sumail going to offlane situation for EG. You're taking a huge playmaker in that mid lane, sending him to the offlane, which can definitely still work. I think this is more dramatic, though, frankly. Position 4 is supposed to be a bit of a playmaker himself as well, roaming around the map. Position 5 is that sacrifice a lot of the times, and you're going to have him on heroes that won't necessarily be able to even have the opportunity to make those big plays that Afu was known for doing. So we'll see. Maybe that'll interchange from game to game. Like if they get Earth Spirit, maybe they'll give it to Afu, things like that. But that's how it's looking for now. What I think of this lineup, I mean, obviously it's great players across the board, no doubt. I will say I'm sad to see OP no longer on a team for the time being. And I assume he's going to find a new home. But again, with the roster locks happening, I don't know how that's going to work, if that's even possible now at this point. I don't know if you could still join a team if you were teamless before, or if there's just no adding new players whatsoever. So I'll try to get confirmation on that. But OP and Inflame currently without a team. That pulls up the same page, just making sure that I had right here. Again, this was the official statement. It was in Chinese, of course, originally. Some translation going on, but point is, LFY roster, who knows? Another roster addition, we have Weha joining the ranks of what was Penta Sports. Penta's an interesting team in the European region. They've had a little bit of success qualifying for some events. They're kind of one of these mid-tier teams that have potential to beat some of the top-tier teams on any given day. And you got to figure, we bringing his experience is going to be a great addition. I will say him replacing Nine is curious, and I couldn't really find information on what the deal is with Nine. Nine, a player that has had the highest MMR, actually. He's been ranked number 1 for bits and pieces here of the new ranking system in the European region. Fantastic player. So, of course, he wasn't able to make it to their recent LAN event due to some, I believe, it was some visa issues last minute. And I'm wondering if that's becoming an issue, so they're just deciding to move on. Of course, they're getting another player in Weha that brings a ton of experience to the table. So I think ultimately it makes sense to see. But yeah, Nine, a great player that for the time being now, again, is teamless, actually, going into the roster locks here. Now, one last change. Maybe we kind of expected this, but Nick's officially a part of Empire. He replaced Silent going into the recent Star Ladder event, which actually Empire ended up doing very well in. I think in the big scheme of things, they didn't qualify for the playoffs, but they took a game off of Mineski. They took a game off of Newbie, I believe it was. They had some decent success. Nick seems like he was fitting very comfortably with the team, and they went ahead and made it official right after the event. So there you go. That's a daily recap, guys. Making it official here with all the roster changes. I'm sure we may even have more updates come tomorrow's daily recap, but hopefully you guys enjoyed. Again, I'm in Kiev here. My next daily recap now, a quick update on that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do tomorrow's daily recap, guys. I'm literally, I leave what's going to be late tonight for me at home when I leave out of Kiev here, and I'm going to be traveling pretty much the whole day, and I don't get in until the evening, like I said. So maybe I'll make a point to do it in the evening when I do get home before I actually do a cast. That's very possible, but it means it will be on later on. Again, I want to do my part to make sure I get a daily recap every day if possible. But if I don't do it, I apologize. Just keep that in mind for tomorrow's. All right, guys, have a good night. I'll see you next time. Until then, peace.